God. Ghost Rider. Spirit of Vengeance. It is a standalone sequel. It's a sequel, but it's also kind of separating itself from the original Ghost Rider movie. And it features Nicolas Cage reprising his role as Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, with some supporting characters like Johnny Whitworth, Ciarán Hinds, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and fucking Idris Elba. Ghost Rider, I don't know if you can tell by now, but Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance is on my list of the top 10, 20, whatever worst movies of all time. It's that awful. It's that atrocious. And this movie received a lot of criticism towards the script, the CGI, and the acting. God, the acting in this fucking film. Nicolas Cage himself did say, he stated that he was done with the Ghost Rider films, and the character Ghost Rider, later, the rights to the character were reverted back to Marvel Studios, and Robbie Reyes' version of Ghost Rider appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, let's talk about this movie. So, I remember, oh my god, I was 10 years old? I was 10, 11 years old when this movie came out. And I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, this could be fun. This could be ridiculous, but it could also be really fun and entertaining. Yes, it is entertaining. Yes, this movie is entertaining, and it is fun in all the worst ways you can think of. So, I wrote down... So, I saw this movie 2 days ago. Well, 2 nights ago. And then yesterday, I spent some time making a list of what I think are the most awful things, awful qualities of this movie. And sit down, because boys and girls, we have a shit ton of flaws to get through. Alright. This movie has some terribly written dialogue. And you can tell, the dialogue is trying to be, engaging and strong, but it just comes off as cliche, and there's no emotional support. There's no emphasis or support behind the dialogue. You know what I mean? So yeah. And also, the character of Ghost Rider, the only thing I like about this movie, I'm not even going to talk about the action. It's a superhero movie. Of course, there's action in a superhero movie. I can't think of any superhero movie without any action, without people punching or kicking each other or running away from something. But other than that, the only good thing about this movie is I actually do like the new design of Ghost Rider. It's all burnt. His face is, his skull is burnt, and the flames. The special effects, the CGI is definitely a much bigger improvement than the first Ghost Rider movie. I will give it that. That's the only good thing about this movie. That's it. That's the one thing. That's the one and only good thing about this movie. Everything else is shit. Ghost Rider, like at the beginning of this film, and well, actually, not at the beginning, but like the first like action scene in this film, Ghost Rider he really spends little time actually fighting the enemies. Like the first time he and Blackout, Kerrigan met with each other, Ghost Rider is trying to rescue Danny, and he's just like he's not fighting anyone. He's not like punching or like kicking anyone. He just stands in one place, and he just sways back and forth like a fucking puppet or some shit for a very extended period amount of time. Like he's just swaying back and forth, and then like one criminal attacks him or shoots him with a gun, and then he turns, and then he just like super he just he runs up to that criminal, and then he uses his penance stare on them. So in other words, when Ghost Rider does get a hold. So if that doesn't make any sense, maybe this will. When Ghost Rider does get a hold on a villain, he takes forever to do anything. He just stares at like a villain. He just stares at the villain or like a criminal for like extended amount of time before fighting. Like he's just using his penance. You can argue, but you can argue with me, but like I feel like the one ability he uses a lot in this film than anything else is his penance stare. But like he's just staring. You can tell. You can tell he's using the penance stare, but like, is he really doing anything? And there's like so many poor quality scenes. There is a scene in this film where Johnny Blaze tries to resist turning into the Ghost Rider, but fails, resulting in like a bunch of close-up shots of ridiculous like CGI faces and expressions of him turning. And there's like an awkward and incredible, this is also an awkward and incredibly unfunny scene between when Danny asks Johnny Blaze about how he uses the bathroom as the writer, and he says like, "Oh, it's awesome! It's like a flamethrower." The scene then cuts to a clip of the usually threatening and serious Ghost Rider urinating a long stream of flames, looking over his shoulder and nodding at the audience. There's also a pointless scene where Johnny Blaze and his allies are betrayed by a group of monks that goes nowhere. Like, why did the group of monks betray them in the first place? Like, why? Wait, I'm so confused. I'm seriously so confused. Why did the group of monks betray Johnny Blaze and the woman and Danny and Idris Elba? Like, what's the point in that? What's the point of betraying them? Do they work for, Mephisto? Do they work for the villains? I don't. Do they work for? They didn't work for Kerrigan, because Kerrigan like fucking decayed all of them with this power. So that's a no. So why did they betray them? And also, the more I think about this movie, the more brain damage I get. And there's also, a scene, when Johnny Blaze loses his powers, only temporary, for a short amount, only temporary, only for them to be, he loses his powers temporary, only for them to be given back shortly. There's no consequences happening during that time. So getting his powers removed is completely pointless if you're just going to give them back already. There's like so much shit going on in this film. There's like a lot of poor writing, not helping. This movie isn't even directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who, if you remembered, I said that in my review for Daredevil, in my review for Ghost Rider, he also directed Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. And there's like 3 different writers, and there's a new director, and you can tell there's like so much involvement and interference going on, like in the script and like the plot of the film. But here's something very interesting that I noticed, and it made no sense. And after Johnny Blaze fully accepts the Ghost Rider and he confesses his sin and is forgiven for them, the Rider is restored to an angel again. He has this blue flame and this unexplained new ability. He can now revive and resurrect the dead. The movie never really explained, if they did, not fully then, how he's able to revive the dead. So I guess because now he's an angel. Okay, so now he's an angel. He can now, like, resurrect and revive the dead. There's something about that doesn't feel right. And for some reason, this movie has an F-bomb. Mephisto, or, in these two films, Mephistopheles, he goes by his full name. He drops the F-bomb. But it's not the F-bomb that's bad. It's the way he emphasizes the F-bomb. Worst. You are the worst fucking deal I ever made. And like there's no, like, the music is softening, and he's drawing the F word out, the F-bomb out, and it just comes off as a bit cringy. And, I love Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. Everyone that I've talked to loves Nicolas Cage. But I swear to God, these Ghost Rider films, no wonder he said he was done with these films. His performance as Ghost Rider, they're very strange and very awkward. There's also some very choppy and bizarre editing in this film that makes characters seem to move too fast at some times, and also unnecessary, out of place, slow motion in other parts. It's like it just goes back and forth. Ciarán, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I'm sorry. I do know he played Steppenwolf. He portrayed Steppenwolf in the Justice League movie. But his performance as the Devil, aka Mephisto, I'm gonna keep calling him Mephisto. I don't care if the movie calls him like the Devil or Mephistopheles. I'm gonna keep calling him Mephisto because that's what he's based on. But his performance as Mephistopheles, it's not as good as Peter Fonda. Actually, you know what? I love Peter Fonda's portrayal of the Devil. I would have liked to see him come back, but this film is kind of like I said in the beginning of this video. It's more of a standalone than a sequel. It's more of a standalone than a sequel. Even Mendez isn't back. There's little to no connection to the first film. But I would have loved to see Peter Fonda coming back as the Devil from the first film. Yeah, but this film also has some multiple continuity and consistency errors due to the original director, Mark Steven Johnson, who directed the first Ghost Rider movie. The film shows Blaze. This movie shows, for example, this movie shows Johnny Blaze's, Johnny's father dying of cancer in a flashback. In the first film, he had cancer but died in a motorcycle accident. But and there's also in the same flashback, there's also a scene of Johnny Blaze's father in a hospital bed undergoing treatment, even though this never occurred, and he refused treatment in the first film. So anyway, Blaze, during a confession, says that he did not make his deal with the devil to save his father, but rather for himself. When he's confessing to Idris Elba, the two of them are talking down about it. Though in the first film, clearly shows and states that he only did it for the safety of his father. Like I said, the writing for these dialogues are atrocious. It's inconsistent, and it's just a bunch of spaghetti noodles. Blaze in the first film tells tells Mephisto that he will defy him by using the Rider for good to help people, but in this film completely avoids ever becoming the Rider and instead hide. In the first film, he says that I'm going to use this power, I'm going to use this Ghost Rider for good and to help people. And in this movie, he's hiding and he's escaping society. He's hiding away from society. He doesn't want to help people. And he even said to Idris Elba, I don't save people. I believe that's what he said. Who gives a shit about this film? Who gives a shit if I forget something? The first film shows at several points that Johnny Blaze is working to control the Rider, and at the end he succeeds by manually unleashing him during the day, and he could not do so before. However, in this film, Blaze has no control over the Rider and fears what he will do. Another thing is that the first film shows that the Ghost Rider will only fight, kill, damn souls, whatever, that are evil. Normal humans or innocents are safe from him. However, in this film, the Rider cannot differentiate between evil souls and good. Now he sees every sin as a punishable like kind of like an offense. Blaze even states that the writer doesn't care because they are all the same to him. What the hell? Jesus. These three writers, I'm not even gonna look up their names, but they have their own version, they have their own take, and then it's all like blended and convoluted, and it shits out this movie. It's inconsistent, there's no connection to the first film, and there are some things that made absolutely no sense, and it's unexplained. The villains of this movie, I'm not even going to talk about how stupid and pathetic they are. Yeah, I said it. The villains in these movies are pathetic. There's like no development, no connection. You don't care about Kerrigan, Blackout or whatever, his super villain name is in the comics. You don't care about the villains. I actually don't care about the character of Danny Ketch. There's little time, there's like no connection for me to be attached to these characters, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance is a steaming hot pile of shit. But if you've seen it, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, what did you think about this horrible atrocity? Let me know in the comment section below. Guys, thank you so much for taking your time to listening to my review. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see all of you lovely people really soon.